polls, surveys. In Chile, we have several types of surveys. Um, Criteria, black and white, Cadem. Cadem is the one that comes out every Sunday at 8:30 p.m. And somehow they have grown, they have become very popular, and they give us a sense of the public. They have made mistakes in the past, but in a lot of the times they are very accurate. They, in this country, we have a law that doesn't allow survey to be public in the last 15 days before the election. And this is a terrible law because it goes against democracy, equality, and rights. Because I'm going to explain why. Since the fact that polls are not allowed to be public, people cannot see them. Therefore, but they keep running. Therefore, it's only the people with money, power, and influence are the ones who have an access to the vote, which means only if you can afford it, you can see them. Second, it gives room for people being misled. We have to mislead in their decision. We have to understand that there is a huge amount of people in this country who don't follow, care, or want to know anything about politics. In this particular election, voting is going to be an obligation, which hasn't been for the last 10 years. It used to be an obligation before, and from 2012, it became voluntary, and this is probably the only country ever recorded in history to transit from free will to election to vote to an obligation. And since it's an obligation, a lot of people who don't know about politics, don't care about it, they will have to vote. So what happens is that if you give them the wrong information of the perception of the vote, it's very likely for them to follow that tendency. For example, a lot of people who probably don't know a lot about politics or they don't understand it and they think don't matter who wins or loses, I'm gonna have to work tomorrow anyway, and it won't make a big impact on my life. They're just gonna follow anybody anywhere. And a lot of them they don't want to feel like losers. So if they know majority of people are voting for a certain tendency, they will say, I'm gonna vote as well, because at the end of the day, I don't want to have to say, because the day after the election, or probably for the first week, people can ask you, so what did you vote? So if you approve and rejection wins, you're gonna say, yes, I'm a loser because I vote against the losing uh, option. So the week before the election, if you get information that a certain tendency is winning, it's very likely for them to vote towards that tendency, so they're not going to feel like a losers at the end of the day. But what they don't know is that considering that the government has the power to influence the media, and they are clearly, distinguishedly specifying that they're following a certain tendency in this particular election, is very likely for them to get more voters. For the last 4 weeks before last, Kadem gave nearly every week 10 percentage points of rejection above approval. And in the last election given, which was Friday 20, let me check my calendar. Okay, we're gonna have to pause that. So only for last week particularly, to follow that unequality law of not being able to show survey 15 days before, the last week they chose to show the cadence results of the 9th, 19th of August. And this one showed 53 points rejection against 44 points approval, which means rejections is 9 points above approval. And for the past 4 weeks before that, it was 10-point difference nearly every week. Technically, very technically speaking, there is no chance a proof can overcome that in a normal conditions. But now we have all these factors where people will not know exactly how the polls are going. Foreign foreign surveys can come out from Argentina and Brazil saying that people is thinking whatever option it is. You have the government working very actively towards the approval options, delivering books and making campaigns about it. So there are chances that that number will get closer and closer, but it's very unlikely for the approve to win this election. But whoever wins or loses, it will lose eventually because the whole idea of this process is to be approved by a vast majority. And since we are 40 something against 50 something, that's not going to happen for any alternative. The next video I will talk about what's going to happen after the 5th of September.